What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we are going to talk about an article that The Lever has put out. It's by Matthew Cunningham Cook. Came out June 20th, 2023, and the headline caught my eye, and I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, scrolling through my Twitter, trying to see if there was anything going on out there in the world that kind of made me think, and I come across this headline, and it says, "The state that may let corporations vote in elections." And I thought to myself, in this day and age, why not have this be the thing we discuss today? So that's what we're going to do. So let's give it a run through and see what happens. Democratic President Biden has called his home the corporate state of Delaware. I heard that before. This was Delaware has notoriously lax laws when it comes to business, and it's not surprising to hear that Biden has been quoted as calling Delaware the corporate state of Delaware. And Republican Senator Mitt Romney has insisted that corporations are people, my friend. These are quotes. I often discuss how corporations have been in ownership of our government for a very, 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 very long time, and they've just gotten more and more bold. And it's more than just corporations. It's the wealth class, the capital owning class. And I'm not talking about, new money. I'm talking about legacy money. I'm talking about centuries old legacy money. I'm talking industry tycoon, plantation owning legacy money, because that's at the root of it all. That's at the root of how our country is governed. It's governed at the behest of the wealthy class because it's been owned and dominated by the wealthy class for a very, very, very long time. And a lot of folks misunderstand their place in this world, their lot in life. They misunderstand. They have a delusion of grandeur about themselves, and they think they belong to a class that they can't even smell the air they breathe from how high they are up. But if we are not aware of that history, it comes as a shock that these types of things are said. It's not shocking that this is the truth of our government. All right, let's continue. That was an aside. Embodying that bipartisan spirit in post-Citizens United America. If you don't know, Citizens United was the law that was passed that allowed, it said that corporations were people too, and that they deserved free speech, and their free speech comes in the form of monetary donations to super PACs and political groups. Delaware Democrats are now advancing a Republican bill, not surprising, that would allow corporations to directly vote in a municipal election. So a municipal election is for a town, a municipality. It's an election for a municipality. And there's Delaware Democrats that are now advancing a Republican bill that would allow corporations to directly vote in a municipal election. Now, why would you do that? If not for the fact that you've been bought and paid for. This is such a sign. It's a clear sign. Look at the laws that they support and you'll know who's paying them. As GOP states across the country aim to limit voter participation, Delaware's Democratic-controlled legislature has been considering a bill to allow the expansion of the franchise to businesses. The Republican legislation would explicitly permit the city of Seaford, Delaware, to authorize artificial entities, limited liability corporations, partnerships, and trusts to vote in municipal elections. The legislature has until June 30th to vote on the bill when the legislative session ends. So they have until the end of the month. It's not far away. It's the 21st today. With hundreds of thousands of corporations officially headquartered in a small Wilmington warehouse. A small Wilmington warehouse. Have you ever heard of that? That there is a small warehouse in Wilmington, Delaware, that is the headquarter address for hundreds of thousands of corporations. How do they fit them all into that one small, tiny little building? They must be occupying square inches. Delaware has long been known for its business fealty. That's its loyalty to business. The state's new legislation would allow corporations to upend the balance of power in Seaford, a small 8,000 person city 20 miles north of Salisbury, Maryland. Just 340 people voted in the most recent election on April 15th, and the bill would potentially provide as many as 234 votes to businesses within the community. That's, I don't know if you can do the math, but that is more than half of the votes of the folks that are there, 340 to 234. It's about 65%, maybe, something like that. 2 years ago, lawmakers in Nevada, known as the Delaware of the West, considered legislation from its then Democratic governor to allow corporations to create their own governments. Do you not understand how much our government is bought? And this is on the local level, where it actually affects the citizens of that area far more dramatically than on a federal level. Federal level affects you also, but on a local level, that's like a scalpel finding you, carving you up right there in that little spot where you stay. It's crazy. And that's, you know what I mean, their own governments. Company towns. I don't know if you've ever heard of company towns. I talked about it in other videos. Company towns. Look them up. Company towns. The Pullman rail car. The Pullman company had a company town. Look up that story. Now Delaware could go even further than that failed legislation, giving limited liability companies, or LLCs, the right to vote, not only in a referenda, but also in regular municipal elections. Critics say the move is an outgrowth of the Supreme Court's 2010 decision in Citizens United, which allowed an unprecedented flow of corporate money into elections, and asserted that corporations have both personhood and free speech rights. Personhood for a business, for a corporate. Walgreens is a person. Here's some quotes, or a quote at least. Let's see. After Citizens United, this is another step down the road to corporate tyranny. Claire Snyder Hall, executive director of the progressive watchdog group Common Cause Delaware, told The Lever. It's bad enough that Citizens United gives corporations free speech rights. Now Seaford wants to give voting rights to corporations. End quote. On April 11th, the Seaford City Council voted 3-2 to pass a charter change that would allow them to put corporations on the voter rolls of the city. According to former city council member Jose Santos, who opposed the change, the process felt, quote, rushed. And the deciding vote came from the city's mayor, David Genshaw, who also sponsored the charter change. So the mayor, who was bought and paid for, sponsored this bought and paid for legislation and was the deciding vote on the bought and paid for legislation. So Santos goes on to say, it didn't come from the people, it came out of the mayor. I didn't feel like the people were supporting it. In my eyes, it wasn't a good thing. Genshaw attracted controversy in late 2021 when he oversaw the passage of a local ordinance mandating cremation or burial of fetal remains, an ordinance which triggered a costly lawsuit against the city from the state attorney general. Another city council member said of the matter, "This, in my opinion, is more of a personal agenda, and it's unfortunate we're using the people of Seaford and the resources to drive this agenda." During the April election, Santos lost his seat by 54 votes. The charter change must be approved by the Delaware State Legislature. The Democratic-controlled legislature appears to be poised to do so with the potential passage of HB 121. The party has not expressed plans to oppose the legislation, despite the fact that the bill's sponsors are Seaford's Republican state representative and senator. State House Speaker Peter Schwarzkopf said in a committee hearing in May that he is kind of caught in a pickle here. I don't see how. He said, I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't think I want to vote to stop it. Where is that? Is there any bravery left? I mean, do we just talk out of the both sides of our face constantly? Is that just what we do now? We can't just have integrity. Where is anybody that's in power that just has integrity to do the moral thing, the just thing, the correct thing? It must be hard when you got your money coming from these corporations, and you got to do what you got to do to support them. It must be hard. I don't think I want to vote to stop. I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm not going to vote to stop it. What? Schwarzkopf did not respond to a request for comment from DeLever. I bet he didn't. Delaware has long been a testing ground for corporate control of democracy. The state is one of just a few that do not charge corporations income tax and allow corporations officers to hide themselves behind a vast web of secrecy. Delaware is also the home to the 200-year-old Chancery Court, which presides over corporate disputes and helps give the state its pro-business reputation. Its business court has been a model for 25 other states, often delivering more favorable outcomes to corporations than regular district courts would. This is not the first time that corporate voting has been raised in the state. In 2018, a single person voted 31 times in a referendum using his web of LLCs in Newark, Delaware. The resulting uproar led the 30,000 person city to change its voting rules to prohibit the practice from occurring again. The prior year, in 2017, the city of Rehoboth Beach, which is also in Schwarzkopf's district, shot down a proposal from that city to allow LLCs to vote in local elections. The city had previously allowed trusts and non-resident property owners the right to vote, and already allowed LLCs to vote in referendums. A lot of allowance to multiple property owners. One man, one vote. One man, one vote. What's all this? I got 5 businesses, so I get to vote 5 times. Fuck out. Get out of here. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. Talk about a rich man's game. This is so ridiculous and so obvious. And if you're not hip to where you stand in this world, you'll always be duped, looking like a sucker because you got duped. Seaford also allows local property owners to vote in local elections, even if they live elsewhere. Snyder Hall at Common Cause Delaware voiced concern about the repercussions of the legislature allowing Seaford corporations the right to vote. It gives wealthier people the right to vote twice, once in Seaford and once in the city where they live. She said, I consider it another form of voter suppression, except with HB 121, they're not trying to block voting, but dilute voting in the town. Earlier this month, progressive state legislators introduced a bill that would issue a blanket ban on corporate voting in Delaware. That should be what gets passed. Sadly, who knows how this is going to play out. We'll find out after June 30th, I suppose. But anyway, my name's Eric. I hope you found this informative, educational, hopefully eye-opening. To not be blinded simply by a label. Make sure you look into the candidates that you support and make sure that those candidates support policies that you can get behind, that you support. Because otherwise, they're selling you out to the highest bidder. And what can follow after that? Read history and you'll know. Learn about the company town and you'll know which way they're trying to take us. They wish we never got out of slavery. Understand this. They hate that they have to pay for labor. They hate it. They wish they could still have slaves. They wish there were no such things as unions. Think they don't? Well, then you're under hypnosis, because corporations are not that nice, I promise you. Even with their little memos, we're going to be more humane. Yeah, sure. Believe it when I see it. Anyway, my name's Eric. Please keep in mind that the fight is not left and right. That's a distraction. The fight is up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one, get out there and reach one. And there could be no union without you and I front and center. Let's go get it. Peace.